The New York Giants are starting to feel like the team nobody wanted to see wake up. One bad season can bury a franchise, but it can also expose every weak spot at the same time. That is what happened in New York. The old version looks stuck. The new version looks dangerous. John Harbaugh is in the building. Jackson Dart is no longer standing there with empty answers around him. Malachi Fields is already making the kind of catch that makes a quarterback trust him early. Cam Scatabo is talking like a man who wants the whole league to remember his name. And on defense, the room has a different sound now because Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Arvell Reese give this team a front that does not feel normal. What nobody is talking about is how fast this changed. This is not just a team adding a few names and hoping the pain goes away. Matt Nagy now has a young quarterback with real targets, real size, real speed, and real answers. Jackson Dart does not have to win every snap by himself anymore. He has Darnell Mooney to steady the passing game, Calvin Austin III to bring quick burst, Isaiah Likely and Theo Johnson to work the middle, and Malachi Fields to turn tight throws into big moments. That matters because a young quarterback does not need noise around him. He needs structure. He needs timing. He needs one play where everyone watching says, wait, this might be different. But the shocking part is, the offense might not even be the scariest side of this team. Dennard Wilson has pressure pieces everywhere, and that changes how every opponent has to prepare. Brian Burns brings the proven edge, Abdul Carter brings the flash, Kayvon Thibodeau still brings power and urgency. Arvell Reese gives them another moving piece who can make the picture messy before the ball is even snapped. That is where this story starts to feel bigger than off-season hype. The Giants did not just change players. They changed the whole mood of the building. And the reason it feels real begins with the coach who walked in and made New York feel serious again. John Harbaugh did not walk into New York to decorate a broken room. He walked in to change the air. The Giants needed more than noise. They needed a voice strong enough to make every player understand the same thing at the same time. No more loose identity. No more waiting for someone else to set the temperature. This is now a serious football building. That matters because Harbaugh brings pressure without panic. He has been through playoff races, ugly losses, hard locker rooms, and seasons where every small detail becomes the difference between January football and another empty winter. Now he has Matt Nagy shaping the offense, Dennard Wilson driving the defense, and Chris Horton handling special teams with assistant head coach Waite. That staff tells you something. This is not a soft reset. It is a full standard change, from practice tempo to game day nerve. The hidden part is how much this helps young talent. Jackson Dart does not need a coach selling dreams. He needs someone forcing cleaner habits. Cam Scatabo does not need empty hype. He needs a system that lets his edge become useful. Arvell Reese, Colton Hood, Francis Mauigoa, and Malachi Fields need a room where early flashes turn into real roles. That is why the coach matters first. Before the offense explodes or the defense scares anybody, the Giants have to become serious again. And that seriousness is now staring every player in the face with no easy exits left for anyone. The biggest question around Jackson Dart is simple. Can he turn promise into command? Last year, too many plays looked heavy before they ever had a chance. The ball waited, the pocket squeezed. The offense felt like it was asking a young quarterback to solve everything after the snap. That is a hard way to grow, especially in New York, where patience disappears fast when Sundays turn ugly, and it usually breaks rhythm before confidence ever arrives. Now the setup gives him a cleaner path. Matt Nagy can build easy answers instead of asking for hero throws every drive. Malachi Fields gives Dart a big target who can win when the pass is not perfect. Darnell Mooney can create timing underneath. Calvin Austin III can stress space fast. Isaiah Likely and Theo Johnson give the middle of the field a different feel. Tyrone Tracy Jr. gives the backfield passing value. Even Jameis Winston matters, because competition inside a quarterback room keeps comfort from turning into carelessness. The twist is that Dart does not have to become a superstar overnight. He has to become quicker, calmer, and more willing to take the throw that is already there. That is where year two can become dangerous. If the first read is cleaner and the second read is safer, the whole offense breathes differently. And when a young quarterback starts breathing, the next question becomes louder. What happens when the running game starts punishing defenses for backing away from the box at once? Cam Skattebo is not the kind of runner who makes a defense relax. He brings contact with him. That is why his comeback changes the whole feeling of this offense. The talk around him is loud, but the important part is not the number he put on himself. It is the belief behind it. A player coming off pain is already telling the league he expects to be ready for Week 1. The Giants need that kind of edge. Skattebo gives them a run game with attitude, not just yards. Inside a building that badly needed one clear offensive identity. He can lower his pads, finish through contact, and make short gains feel like damage. That helps Jackson Dart more than people think. A strong run threat slows the rush, pulls safeties closer, and creates cleaner throws over the middle. Francis Mauigoa adds young power up front. Patrick Ricard gives the backfield a true lead blocker. Devin Singletary and Tyrone Tracy Jr. keep the room from becoming one-dimensional. But here is the part defenses will hate. If Skattebo is healthy, the Giants can stop begging the passing game to carry every emotional swing. They can lean on bodies. They can shorten games. They can make second down feel friendly instead of desperate. That is when an offense becomes harder to read. And once New York can run with purpose, the draft class starts to look less like hope and more like a plan landing right on schedule for real. The draft is where this rebuild stopped sounding cute and started looking serious. John Harbaugh did not need a class built for headlines only. He needed a class that touched the weak spots. That is why Arvell Reese, Francis Mauigoa, Colton Hood, and Malachi Fields matter together. Each rookie points at a different problem New York had to fix, and that is how good teams speed up change before the season even starts. Reese gives the defense a linebacker who can move, spy, pressure, and make the picture ugly for quarterbacks. Mauigoa gives the offense a young lineman with size and force, the kind of blocker a physical team needs before it can claim any real identity. Hood brings competition to corner, where one bad snap can flip a whole game. Fields gives Jackson Dart a big target who can win late, high, and tight. That is not random shopping. That is roster design with a clear map, a tough edge, and no wasted motion. The key is patience, but not the soft kind. These players do not need to be legends in September. They need to solve specific jobs fast. One third down stop from Hood changes a drive. One clean pocket from Mauigoa changes a throw. One contested catch from Fields changes belief. One disguised rush from Reese changes a quarterback's feet. And when those small wins stack up, the defense becomes the story everyone circles next because pressure is where this roster gets nasty in a hurry. The most uncomfortable thing about the Giants' defense is not one name. It is the math of protection. Offenses can slide help to Brian Burns, they can prepare for Abdul Carter, they can chip Kayvon Thibodeau. But when Dennard Wilson starts moving bodies around, the clean answer disappears. Somebody gets a one-on-one, somebody gets a free angle, somebody gets home, and that single breakdown can wreck the whole drive. That is why Arvell Reese is so interesting. He is not just another body in the front. He is a rookie linebacker with enough movement skill to spy, pressure, and change the look before the snap. Pair that with Tremaine Edmonds holding the middle, and New York can show one picture, then play another. Carter can hunt from space. Burns can close from the edge. Thibodeau can crash the run and still threaten the pocket. That is stress from every side, not pressure from one predictable lane. The beauty is that this defense does not have to blitz recklessly to feel aggressive. It can create confusion with alignment, rotation, and timing. Quarterbacks hate that more than noise because the mistake happens before the throw. One late protection call, one false step, one rushed read. Suddenly, a normal passing down becomes a survival snap. And if the front starts forcing that kind of panic, the back end gets the chance to turn pressure into something much louder than a hurry, and that is where tight games start turning fast late. The secondary is the part people will try to question first, and that is fair. You do not erase old problems with one practice, but the Giants are building a group that has a better chance to survive because the front can make life easier. Coverage looks different when the quarterback is hurried, and timing gets shaky when the rush is closing fast. That is exactly what rebuilding teams chase in spring. That puts a spotlight on Colton Hood. He is a rookie corner with a real path to matter early, not because the job is promised, but because the need is obvious. Paulson Adebo gives the room a veteran presence. Greg Newsome II can compete on routes that test the middle and sideline. Drew Phillips brings nickel value. Tyler Nubin and Elijah Campbell give the safety group range and communication. Nobody has to pretend this is finished. The better truth is that it is becoming harder to pick on, and that is the whole point. A defense with this much pressure does not need every defensive back to play perfect football. It needs corners who stay attached, safeties who do not panic, and tacklers who finish when the ball comes out fast. If Hood wins even a few early battles, the confidence changes. If the veterans steady the room, the ceiling rises. Then every hurried throw becomes bait, and the first real trap comes under the brightest lights of Week 1 against a rival that knows them too well. Week 1 against the Dallas Cowboys is not just an opener. It is the first public test of the new Giants. No quiet buildup, no soft landing. John Harbaugh begins his New York chapter under primetime heat, inside MetLife Stadium, against a division rival that has spent years making Giant fans wait for a different answer. That is what makes this game feel bigger than the schedule. Jackson Dart gets a chance to show the offense has real shape. Cam Scatabo gets a chance to bring his physical comeback into a rivalry setting. Malachi Fields gets a chance to turn spring buzz into trust. Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Arvell Reese get a chance to make the first statement of the season with pressure. Nobody has to talk about fear. The film will say it fast enough, and the first quarter could tell everyone whether this change is cosmetic or dangerous. The Cowboys are not walking in blind. They know the rivalry. They know the building. They know the emotion. But what they have not seen is this version of New York, with a new staff, a tougher edge, and a roster that finally has answers on both sides. That is the hook. If the Giants win that night, the whole conversation changes before Monday morning. And if they look real doing it, the NFC East will have to deal with a team that arrived earlier than expected and might not be leaving quietly again anytime soon.